Hey folks, I got a very, I guess it, to me would be an important video to do. Showing you the apple presses is good. Talking about a lot of things that are going on in the world is good. However, day-to-day skill sets, knowledge that we used to have in our living world 100 years ago has all but disappeared. And what we need is an understanding of self-sustaining habits, little things, little pieces of knowledge that that you're not going to get from Trump or Hillary. I mean, it's you gotta have the skill sets for sustainability, and seed saving is one of those. Being able to take heirloom seeds or varieties of plants that you want to keep and grow and provide yourself with food, and then not have to pay for them, get them from the store or whatever, or not have some company like Monsanto mess with them. Oh, of course, there's Shadow. And one of our cats always has to be in the video, it seems like. But there she is. So what I want to do is I want to show you a technique. Skill sets and techniques are extremely important. And when it comes to seed saving, in good conditions, generally your seeds should last you a minimum of 7 to 8 years. However, in doing so, you go to, there's some good websites out there, like seedsavers.org. So there's a bunch of stuff out there. Do your own research. Definitely get other opinions besides mine. But what you want to know is the viability of seed saving. And I will go through just briefly a bit on that. And that is, when you plant, you have to be aware of what's next to what, how close it is for cross-pollination, a myriad of different pieces of information that will tell you whether the seed that you save for something is viable. So, like this, we're going to start with this. This is the one thing I'm going to show you, and the technique is basically a gravity sifting, or I like to call it gold panning, because the seed that I'm going to get out of here is my gold. It is what's going to feed me, and it's going to be the variety that I want, that I'm going to continue from one year to the next without deviation via cross-pollination. Therefore, you got to know how close you can plant several items. There's lots of websites out there for that. This one is going to be solely dedicated to how do you collect a specific seed. And this is French breakfast radishes. Now, I'm going to show you some other seeds that I've collected this year and how much I've done. You know, I don't do a whole lot of videos because just the time that it takes to do this is extreme, and for all the people who sit there behind their desk and do videos, 2 or 3 of them a day, they're not sustainable. They may have food supplies put away, but if they're going to sit there and read articles to you, they're not out here doing this. And yeah, you may have a can of seeds supply put away, but if you don't do this on an annual basis, or on a work these homesteading techniques, these sustainable techniques on a regular basis, you're not going to be up to it on this. And like I said, I'm going to show you a lot of stuff that I've done this year, and that's only a small portion of what you do from year to year. So I know this is going to be a little bit longer video, but bear with me, because what you're going to see here is a very, very good technique. Now, a lot of people might argue that the methods that I use may not be very easy to come by if you lose power, if you are off grid, or the EMPs take the grid down, and you don't have the ability to use air pressure. But trust me, I think technology be around. I'm fairly sure after this financial collapse and everything comes apart, we will still have what we have available if you're smart enough to have properly stored what you need. So this technique will be one of your most effective techniques for cleaning up your seed. So it's called, in my opinion, I'm calling it the gold panning method. I've never heard this anywhere else. If I'm not the first one, show me a link where somebody else calls seed saving the gold panning method. But this is a technique that I've learned because I'm interested in a lot of different things, and I've played around with gold panning. So let's cut it to the chase. Here we're going. I've got these French breakfast radish seeds. These are extremely similar to most all of the seeds that I'm going to show you when I'm done with teaching you the technique, and you're going to see what you can come up with. And your cleanliness of the seed is going to totally depend upon your tenacity at working at this and learning your specific technique. So here we go. I've got these plants. These are radishes. These are French breakfast radishes. I allowed them to go to flower after I had cleaned up all my cherry bell radish seeds, and I'll show you those here in a second, what I collected. This isn't as much of a seed saving because it was late in the season, but I had specific plants that I said, okay, I'm going to let them go to flower, to seed, so that I could collect just the French breakfast radish, because we like our varieties. So now that I've got it in the tub, this is very important, having a dry container that you can allow to sift for dust. Basically, that's what we're going to do using air. We're not going to gold pan using water. We're going to gold pan using air. Why? It floats. It allows things to sift based on weight. What you got to understand about seeds are extremely nutrient-dense items. The plant puts a lot of energy into seed to give it a boost for growing when you start off. Therefore, they are denser and heavier than all the other plant material. So here you go. I've got this. I've allowed it to dry completely to the point where it's extremely brittle. Now I need to dislodge all the seeds from the, there goes one right there. You see that? I squeeze it and it pops out. I need to dislodge, there's 2, 3 of them. Okay, so I need to dislodge all of these seeds from this. So, got to have gloves on. It makes it a whole lot easier. And I'm just going to get in here. There's the radish. I'm going to get in here, and I'm just going to start crushing and crushing and crushing and crushing as much as I can. Get all these seed pods down. I get all these stems out of my way. And it takes some work. There's a lot of physical work involved in doing this. And for those of you who are local and you've listened to me, I've told you before, and I'm going to tell you again, you ain't getting out of this collapse without working. You're going to have to work. Sitting in front of a computer or a TV is done and over in the new paradigm. So, crushing. And this is going to take a while. There's different methods. You can crush it by hand, or you can get in here and you can stomp it around. However you need to do. What you're trying to do is break these pods. Now, not all plants are going to require such force. Carrots don't need this. Lettuce does not need this. But these pods do need it. The pods of any plant that has a pod kind of likes to have it broken up. But once you get it to where you've got the majority of it broken down, crushed up, what's going to happen is all of these seeds are going to want to settle to the bottom once you start to agitate it. We're talking gold panning here. That's why I call this gold panning, because now I'm going to start to agitate it. I'm going to act like this is a gold pan, and this is my heavies that are going to settle out of that gold pan down into the bottom. Alright, here's where the air pressure comes in. Hello. Get my... Look at all that. That's what light stuff. It blows out. Now all this organic matter is going to sit down and decompose and fertilize our dirt. But for right now, what it's doing is helping me settle. Now the technique that you're going to learn, or you're going to figure out as you're going through this, is simply this. Controlling how much air pressure you need based on the weight of the shelling and stems versus the seeds. Now, take some time to do this, but when you get down into the bottom of this, down here, you're going to start to get down to the seeds. There's a lot of work that's involved in this, and this is only a small batch. But down here at the bottom is all my heavies, and you can start to see all the little brown seeds that are right in here. Now I'm going to work this out. I'm going to crush it up some more. I'm going to blow it out, and I'm going to pause, and I'm going to get it down to the end of this. But what I want you to see is the technique. The technique of crushing your seed pods, and then the technique of using not water but air to wash away the light stuff like you would if you were panning for gold. This is panning for gold. The seeds are gold. That is the most lowest cost value of what you're going to produce for your own survival or thrival, depending upon your perspective. So with that, I'm going to pause a little bit. I'm going to work this down, and then I'm going to show you what I can get once we get down out of it. So, all right, I'm working through this, and I just want to show you the progress. Like I said, it takes a little bit, but I'm getting down to the nitty-gritty, and I'm getting down to where there's nothing but a bunch of little stems and leaves and stuff. However, as I'm going through it, I'm cleaning up the remainder of the pods, because I'll go through and I'll crack open the ones that I've missed, and just in that spot where I pop that one, boom, there goes another seed. Seeds, each one has its own incredible value. It could save you or produce the variety that you want, or whatever it is. So the more that you have, the better your process is, and the better your next year's growth, or potentially the better the next 6, 7, 8 years. And I'll explain that in a second. But here I am, panning it down, using panning techniques to get all that to the bottom, and then carefully taking the light stuff off the top. And it's going to take a few iterations of doing this in order to get down to the bottom, but I'll pause when I get down, or I'll pause now, and I'll show you when I get down all the way down to the bottom. Alright, the closer I get, look how true that seed's coming out. Still got a little bit more to work out, but there's quite a bit in here. And let me show, I just wanted you to see, I'm getting near the bottom, taking a lot of blowing with the air pressure as opposed to rinsing it with water like you would with gold in the heavies in a gold pan, but it's the same concept. Alright, so I've gotten it like 98% clean. There's still a little bit of dust here and a few little other heavy things in there, but you notice the amount of seed that I got. Now, I said this was a small batch. This is just French breakfast French breakfast radishes, but this is it. Now all I need to do is bag it up, and as far as getting any cleaner, I could work for it using a sifting screen to get out the rest of the biggies and blowing it out a little bit more. But this is it. If you gotten to this point, you've done really well. This is enough to pack away and put away. So now I'm going to show you just an indication of what I've done over the summer, or excuse me, over the fall. So why don't you come down here so we can get really close to this. This is most of the seeds that I've saved this year. Every seed has different techniques. Peppers, generally, all you need to do is rub them off the internal core and let them dry out on a towel. Cylindra seeds, or cylindra beets. Coriander. Yellow carrot. Cucumber, and I had a rough year on cucumbers, so I was only managed to save just a few of a couple varieties. They didn't quite go to seed the way I'd like to because our seeds are kind of short and they got burned up. Although the cantaloupe and some honeydew melons did really, really well. Lima beans. Did quite a bit of lima beans. Lovage off our lovage plant. Some more cylindra beets. Had a big batch of these. This is all Blue Lake bush, and to be honest, I probably harvested 6 or 8. Let's use this as a volume. I probably harvest 6 or 8 of these milk crate sizes full of green beans, plus allowing all these Blue Lake bush seeds to go to full size. This is spinach. Then we have purple kohlrabi. This is lettuce. Now, you got to understand this. Different seeds are going to have different weights. This is still heavier than the leaves, but they're extremely light seeds, which means your amount of air that you put into your tub is going to greatly determine how much you keep or how much it gets blown out on the ground. Now, I promise you this, there's a lot of radish seeds out here on the ground, and they will come up because they've come up in other places around the yard where I've cleaned it out. But the trick is to use that gold panning method to save what you want. This is fern leaf lettuce. Okay, yes, there are bits of stems and leaf and stuff in there, but I still got a huge amount of seed. This is more than what you would buy if you bought a little packet at the Walmart and such. So, kale, catnip. Now, I only need a little bit. We got catnip everywhere, but I save a little bit. This is lemon catnip. Tiny little bits of it. Celery. Celery, if you look at this really close, is an extremely tiny seed. But look how much I got off of it. Okay, now the celery seed is also used as a seasoning. So I've got several packets of the several packets of the celery seed because I use it in my cream of cauliflower. It's one of the main ingredients. I love it. Blue Scotch kale. Look at the amount of seed I got off the blue Scotch kale. Right? Huge, huge amounts of seed. Another pack of celery. Arugula. Incredible amounts of arugula seed. Okay? From the just a few plants that I had let go to seed. It doesn't take much. Dill. Huge amounts of dill. All of this should last you. This is green oak leaf lettuce. All of this should last you somewhere on the line of 6 to 7 years. The reason being, if you save your seeds properly to hold the genetic strain of variety, that means you're only letting one of each type go to seed per year. And there are several brassicas here. However, some of the brassicas were separated far enough away. I had friends that I worked with in different parts of this valley that allowed me to say, okay, you grow just the kohlrabi, you do just the broccoli, and I'll do this. And because of that, we each had large bags of seed that we were able to share with each other from year to year. If you're not doing that and you don't have the network of people to help you save different varieties because of the distance that's needed to keep the pollinations separate, then you're going to have to go from year to year only allowing one of whatever variety that you want not to cross-pollinate with another. So you only let white Vienna kohlrabi pollinate this year. The rest of them, you cut the flowers off. But then you've got enough seed to last you 4, 5, 6, 7 years, depending upon how much you do. Today, I saved these royal burgundy beans. I had these all separated. The Blue Lake Bush, the royal burgundy, and I don't know where the yellow wax went to, but anyway, I've got a bag of yellow wax beans plus the lima beans that I kept separate from each other. I only let one patch go to flower at a particular time. That allowed and assured that the pollination would only be within that variety, and then went through this method, as you see here, in order to save the seeds. This year, I saved an incredible amount of onion seed. However, I got lazy. I put all the different onions together in a package, but I've got enough onions to last me 7 years or 8 years or however long. There's a huge amount of onion seed here, and they are reds, whites, and yellows. And when it comes time for me to save seed again over the next 7 years, I have the opportunity to select out the yellows, the whites, and the reds and let them pollinate individually. This year I just kept them separate, but I put them all in one bag. It gives me the opportunity to have some time to deal with this, because this is a year after year after year event. And as you can see with all the seeds right here, this is only 1 year. Next year all of this will be different. All of these will be different kinds of seeds and different types of seeds. Different varieties. I'll do chard, I'll do different herbs like the basils. I'll work on all these different things that I didn't get this year in order to carry the other varieties that would have cross-pollinated with these varieties into the next 2, 3, 4 years, and saving my seed viability between my squash, between pumpkins and squash and cucumbers and all that. So you only let one or two go to seed during a year, isolating them. You work with your neighbors, but the biggest technique that you want to know is this gold panning method. The gold panning method essentially helps you to clean up your seed. I know this has been a long video. I'm showing you a whole lot, but every bit of what you see here came out of this tub. So that's all I've got for you folks this evening, it's coming on evening. And with that, we will catch you soon. Take care.